Hey guys, how are you? Hope you're all doing very, very well this evening, or whatever time it may be in your part of the world. I hope you're doing fine and watching plenty of films and enjoying your weekend. I'm here for another review tonight. Now, this film was sent to me by a friend here on YouTube. He's only very new to YouTube. I didn't know too much about him, but this is evident that he's quite generous. So his channel name is Kulfi. His real name is Gary, so I'll leave a link in the description below. If you could go and subscribe to him and support him, I would greatly appreciate that. He seems like a great guy, and I think he'd be a valued member of the community. So I didn't ask for this film. He just thought I'd get more out of it than what he did. It's a horror film from New Zealand, which was something I haven't been exposed to because I know New Zealand horror comedies, but as far as serious New Zealand horror films goes, I haven't seen many. So I was really curious and excited to see what this one had to deliver. So yeah, I mean, a great guy, Gary, and he's just started making videos. He's a little bit nervous, so if you could support him, and hopefully he'll stay around. And yeah, it's just another person to add to this already great community. So the film, I watched it today, and he asked me as soon as I watched it if I could do a review of it. So here I am, while it's still fresh in the memory. I'm going to be telling you what I thought of this New Zealand horror film. So it was released in 1997, so it's not a new film. Directed by Scott Reynolds, and this film is called The Ugly. And no, this is not a film about me. This is in fact a serial killer film. So serial killer fans, you should get a lot out of this one. So the synopsis is as follows. Simon Cartwright, a psychotic serial killer institutionalized for the last 5 years, requests a famous and controversial psychiatrist, Dr. Karen Schumacher, to re-evaluate him. At first, drawn to her patient by some strangely erotic tension, Dr. Schumacher believes Simon to be rehabilitated. But as she delves deeper into his psyche, she slowly realizes Simon has skillfully manipulated her. Horrified by her initial mistake, Dr. Schumacher observes the macabre visions resurfacing in Simon through the grisly and demonic power called the Ugly. So this serial killer named Simon, he has killed a lot of people, and he has been caught and locked away in a mental hospital. And psychiatrists can't get into his mind, so they're kind of given up hope on him and just locked him away and left him to rot. 5 years later, the serial killer has requested Dr. Karen Schumacher, who is a very controversial and famous psychiatrist. I'm not going to go into why she's famous. That's something you're going to have to find out for yourself. But she gets to the institution and she starts questioning Simon. And this is where she starts to learn about the Ugly. Now, the Ugly is Simon's split personality, alter ego. And this comes from his torment that he suffered when he was being brought up. And this is kind of a stereotypical look at a serial killer and the mind and the history of a serial killer. But yeah, the Ugly is the split personality that surfaces inside Simon, and this is what causes him to go on a killing spree. So to start with, the guy who's running the mental hospital tells Karen not to let Simon get inside her mind because he's very clever, and it's kind of like a Hannibal Lecter. Don't let him get inside your mind because he'll haunt you. But Karen believes that she's good enough not to let him get inside her mind, but as the questioning grows and progresses, he is slowly starting to haunt her dreams, and this is where she starts being manipulated by this guy. And so this all progresses, and it leads up to a very thrilling and brutal climax. And so that's as far as I'm going to go synopsis. If you want to know more, I'm not sure how easy this is to obtain. I'd never heard about it before Gary sent it to me, so I can't help you in where to get it. But if you can pick up a copy, hopefully that synopsis has left enough for you, curiosity for you to go and satisfy the curiosity and watch it for yourself. Now my thoughts on the film. There is a lot I liked about it, and there is some I didn't like about it. Now what I liked about it is the surreal atmosphere. This is an incredibly bizarre film, and it's down to the environment. Now what I can compare this to is another film of a different genre. It's an Australian film called Bad Boy Bubby. Now it's set in the real world, but it has a very dreamlike atmosphere, and it's kind of like it's a dream and it's not real. And that's down to the way it's been shot and the way the characters have been portrayed. Now, my biggest example I can use is the orderlies. The orderlies that are in charge of the patients in this film. They are exaggerated, and they're just as crazy as the patients themselves. So this is an exaggeration, and in the real world, these guys would never be allowed to do what they do, especially how they dress. They're dressed like thugs. So the director has created his own little world inside this mental hospital, and there are not many characters in this film at all. So it kind of feels like the whole existence of Earth is locked inside the mental hospital, and I really like it when directors go that approach because it's unique. And this film really needed a unique flavour because it's a stereotypical sort of film. When he starts talking about his past, his mother abused him, his mother was crazy, he was bullied at school, and he was constantly belittled. So he grew up to be this monster. So, I mean, you've seen it done time and time again in other serial killer films. So for this to work, it needed its own unique flavour, and that certainly has been brought to the table in this film. It's very, very bizarre, very unique, and all the characters involved are very, very interesting. Now the acting was pass. It was a pass mark, which is really cool. I always like seeing a film that I'd never heard of and I'd never heard about the actors. And when it comes across as a relatively well-acted film, that's pretty cool. And you already know that you can enjoy a film if you can get into the characters. Some of the characters, especially the younger sort of characters in the flashbacks, they were a little bit, overdone, but they were young, so, I can forgive that. But the majority of the acting from the main sort of characters was good. I mean, the character of the serial killer was very, very interesting. And, you can kind of see likable qualities about him and other qualities that are quite terrifying. The doctor, the main psychiatrist, she was beautiful. And she had her problems too. But yeah, she overacted in some scenes, but that didn't take away from the overall, quality sort of acting effect in the film. So the acting was good, and just the surreal way it was shot, it was very, very well directed. Then we have the gore. The violence is quite brutal and nasty, especially the end. This is not the most extreme film you've ever seen, but as far as New Zealand standards go, this is an extreme film. Gorehounds will get a lot out of it. It's quite graphic, especially the end. But the blood is black. Now, I don't know if this was down to cheap effects or because of the surreal nature. At first, I didn't like it, but considering how weird the whole film was, I actually liked it at the end. And I thought it was quite well done, and there is a lot of blood in this one. So, yeah, everything about the film is very unique. The director has created his own little world inside this little space. So, yeah, definitely a unique film, and that's what it needed, because if it wasn't the surreal atmosphere, if it was just a standard sort of serial killer film, then it's one you've seen before and you can just add it to the pile. Now, what I didn't like about the film, it was very confusing in parts, which can be a blessing in disguise because for the director, it's going to make you want to go and see it again. Now, the ending I didn't quite understand, and I really would have thought that the surreal nature of the film would have allowed it just to have a basic storyline. But the director tried to be a little bit too fancy, and in the end, I just didn't quite understand exactly what was going on. But having said that, it's not a big criticism, and overall, I enjoyed the film. I know a lot of people out there who are into your artsy kind of bizarre atmosphere. It's extremely bizarre. So if this is your kind of thing, it sounds like your kind of thing, then I would definitely recommend it. But it's definitely a try before you buy. Little is known about it, so it hasn't got wide recognition. But I reckon it certainly deserves more recognition than what it has, because as far as serial killer films go, it is very different. And yeah, I'll definitely recommend it. It's not the best film, but it's certainly not the worst film going around. So if you enjoy films like Bad Boy Bubby, and even old Ozploitation stuff, you'll definitely get a lot out of this one, because it's certainly one worth the effort. Alright guys, that's my review. I hope you enjoyed it, and until next time, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you later. And don't forget to sub to this Gary. Alright, see you later.